From Santa Clara, California, CBS Sports presents the National Football League. Today, the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. Hi, everyone. Kevin Harlan, Steve Tasker on our sideline, Rich Gannon, the NFL MVP. Rams, the only unbeaten team right now in pro football.
And it really starts with the rushing attack, Kevin. They got the best running back in football, and Todd Gurley. He leads the league in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and he runs behind a big physical offensive line.
We've had the flip of the coin. The Niners won the toss. They have deferred. Blake Countess will be beat, and he lets it go over his head. It is a touchback and to the 25-yard line. Let's welcome in the third member of our crew, and that is Steve Tasker on the sideline.
Kevin, Rich, as the Rams take the field on offense today with the #1 offense overall in the NFL, they're going to be facing a 49er defense that was without Pro Bowl corner Richard Sherman. The last time these two met in this stadium, it was a 41-39 shootout. So the Rams are looking to build upon that success here in this building last year. The Niners might be a lot of pressure on their offense to keep up with this Rams rushing attack and Jared Goff.
It will be a 1st and 10. And a look right there at Todd Gurley, who is belted by Warner on a gain of 4, and they'll put him up at the 29-yard line. Well, the NFC Offensive Player of the Month in September was the Ram quarterback Jared Goff.
Yeah, he's in a rhythm right now. He's 14-2 in his last 16 starts. He's thrown 33 touchdowns and just 9 interceptions during that stretch.
Empty backfield again, 2nd down and 6. Now they put Gurley back there. And Todd Gurley gets a block from Sullivan. Picks up 5. Brought down by Cassius Marsh. He's out to the 34 as we welcome our new audience. Just underway. Rams at 6-0. Niners at 1-5. That starting 5 on the offensive line has started every game this season and every game last season except the final when they rested. 3rd down and 1. Goff loses the snap from Sullivan. Here they come and they bring him down. Cassius Marsh comes through and pulls him down back at the 26. It is a loss of 8. And here comes the punting unit for the Rams.
Boy, I don't know what happened here. This is just a simple quarterback center exchange. It looks like it hits Goff in that right hand, and he's just not able to squeeze it. Not the kind of start the Rams were hoping for on offense.
To punt, Johnny Hekker. And deep back, they've got Richie James. There's a slight breeze here this afternoon in Santa Clara. Low snap, very short. James will attempt to field it. Does about the 25 and brought down on the play after a gain of 6. 50-yard punt on a nice roll. Here is the second-year quarterback out of Iowa for the Niners, Rich, C.J. Beathard.
And we have to keep reminding ourselves it's just his 9th career start, and I really feel like he's getting more comfortable with each time out. And I thought he played his best football last week on that Monday night game against the Packers. He looked comfortable. The ball was coming out on time. It was a marked improvement over what he did the week before, where he turned the ball over 4 times against the Cardinals.
It's a pitch to Breida, who on 1st and 10 takes it, and the grasp of blockers will bring him down after a gain of 2 up to the 32-yard line. Breida's been injured, and he is down right now. He has had an assortment of injuries, including an ankle and a shoulder, and that is not good news because his speed makes a difference for that offense.
Yeah, really getting Breida back last week along with Goodwin, it really helped them against the Packers. I think it was very noticeable, Kevin, as you mentioned the speed. I think it changes your approach defensively.
There's an injury timeout and 12:45 to go in the first quarter on CBS. As they look at Matt Breida, who just left after the first carry, looked like he got his left ankle landed on.
Yeah, keep an eye on Brockers there. He's just going to come down on that left ankle, and that's what he's being taped. They're taping up on the sidelines right now.
Alfred Morris, who was minimally used up at Lambeau on Monday night against Green Bay, will be the first guy in there as the running back. 2nd down and 8. Fake to Morris. There was a nice block there by McGlinchey. He goes outside to Kittle, the tight end. Abraham was out there covering. That's a gain of 9. He'll put him outside the 40-yard line. That is a first down for San Francisco. Ram defense comes in number 11, 7th in points allowed. And they've got Sue and Donald on that front line, and Brocker's not far behind. An outstanding front 7. Littleton is the star there. He leads them in tackles. Peters, and they worked on Troy Hill pretty good last week. He struggled in Denver. First down and 10. Alfred Morris into a pile, and not a whole lot there. Gets out to about the 41-yard line or so. 2nd down and about 10.
Well, they have to be able to run the ball well. They're actually 3rd in the league in rushing. They're averaging just a little over 142 yards a game on the ground. Not having Breida certainly would hurt them, but Morris, this group had 174 rushing yards last week.
Good count. Out to Juszczyk, the fullback, as good as there is. Corkscrewing his way to the 49-yard line on that 2nd down and 10. Brought down by a couple on the play, including LaMarcus Joyner.
And we talked to the Rams.
He's got a first down.
Excuse me, Ken. We talked to the Rams last night. They said that Kyle Juszczyk's like a Swiss Army knife. He does it all. I mean, he's just so versatile. He's a terrific blocker. He's great in the running game. He's excellent out of the backfield, and he's just there's not a lot of fullbacks left, but this is the best fullback in all of football without question.
John Johnson gets over there to make that stop. Here's a 1st and 10 into Ram territory.
20.
Morris gets the call. Juszczyk with a block, and Plunkers is there to stone him near midfield. No gain at all. Maybe in fact a loss of about a half yard on that play.
We talked about the importance of running the football against this big, strong, physical defensive line of the Rams, and that is going to be key. We know what the Rams can do. They're the best rushing team in football, but the 49ers not that far behind when you look at the production.
Mostert is in. Gets the call, and they blow that dead as he was rifling over that left side.
False start, number 88, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Veteran tight end Garrett Selleck on the Niner offense. There's a look at Kyle Shanahan, 38-year-old, 2nd-year head coach, couple years in Atlanta as the offensive
10:26 on the
coordinator.
clock, please. 10:26.
And he and Sean McVay, good friends and kind of the future of offense in pro football.
I think they're 2 of the best play callers in football, Kevin. I just, you look at what Shanahan has done without the best running back and their starting quarterback, and I think what Sean McVay has done in just a little over a year and a half. It's pretty amazing.
That's Garcon, 15, 2nd down and 16. Beathard gets away on the move, hit from behind, and it was loose, and it was an interception. Intercepted on the play by Trayvon Young, the rookie out of Louisville, on a big hit from behind by Ebukam. Turnover. Here come the Rams offense back on the field.
And turnovers have been a big story with the 49ers, particularly C.J. Beathard. Just not having a feel for pressure on the backside.
The fumble, airborne. Is down by contact, first down.
Well, it's a big reason why this team has won just 1 game so far this season. They've got 15 turnovers already this season, which is the most in football.
They're going to call that a fumble recovery. At least right now. They often change on the ruling. And let's see what he does here.
Yeah, I think it actually comes out of his hand as he's bringing it backwards.
Yeah. So a fumble and a turnover.
Great starting field position for the Rams.
Turnovers are a big problem for the 49ers from the San Francisco 44. Here come the Rams. Todd Gurley. Nice hit on that line by Eric Armstead. With no gain on the play, they stay at the 44. So the secondary is an issue for San Francisco today. Jimmy Ward is out, starter. Richard Sherman is out with a calf injury. And the other players that will take their place, including Witherspoon and Williams. David will be in there too. 2nd down and 10. Another stick of Gurley. This time it's Tart Jaquiski Tartt, who comes in and throws him for a loss of 2 back to the 47-yard line. Now back to our CBS studios and Phil Simms.
All right, Kevin, thank you, man. You guys got some action out there, and here's some action in Washington. Alex Smith, the Capri Bibbs on a screenplay right down through the middle of the defense for 23 yards and a touchdown. Washington 7, Dallas nothing. Back to Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
Phil, thank you. 3rd down and 12 after a fumble by San Francisco's offense. Goff. What time? Right on the screws, caught by Woods. Nice catch. Tartt is there along with Foster. It is a 21-yard pickup through the air on 3rd and 12 and put him at the 25.
Well, you look at protection. He has plenty of time to set his feet. I mean, you just look at this cup up here. And that's the one thing that you study Jared Goff. He'll sit in there. He'll trust the protection. He'll keep his eyes down the field. And a bunch of receivers that have great speed and run very precise routes. With those explosive plays already this season from the Rams.
Goff turned 24 last week. 1st and 10. Woods, jet sweep, blocked by Higbee. Turns the corner. And shoved out of bounds across the way at a couple in pursuit, including Blair, with a gain of 6 and put him at the 19-yard line.
Yeah, this speed sweep is a real problem for a defense because Woods has unusual speed and quickness, but they get on the perimeter and the edge so quickly. It's just another form of an outside run play, and they do it as well as anyone in football.
5 in the secondary. Gurley is wide. Sherman watches. 2nd down and 4. Not to Gurley. This is a pass, and it goes to Crooks, who will dance and get dropped at about the 18-yard line. Once again, Jaquiski Tartt is there. Gain of 2, and he's down to the 17-yard line. That's an interesting play now, isn't it, Rich? You see it a lot. Not the jet sweep handoff, but a pass. They just toss it up in front of the quarterback.
A lot of misdirection, and it's the same personnel grouping. It's just how they do it. But you look at this part of the field, this is really where Todd Gurley stands out among the competition. And if they give it to him, he's tough to tackle in this part of the field. He's got a nose for the end zone, and it's why the best offense in football, they usually convert in these situations.
They're still in the nickel. Nick Williams, an extra receiver for Goff. 3rd down and 2. Lot of opportunity here. Trapped by Gurley at the 20. In the vicinity was Adrian Colbert. It's incomplete. It's 4th and 2. Let's see what Sean McVay decides to do. He's going to bring out the field goal unit.
Well, you look at the time that Goff has had. The 49ers really struggle getting pressure on the quarterback. They don't have those premier pass rushers off the edge.
Great to see Greg Zuerlein out there. You know, he's been out for the last 5 games with a groin injury. Cairo Santos replaced Sam Ficken, who replaced Zuerlein from 35 to take the lead, and there it goes. With 6.5 to go in the first quarter. A fumble by the Niner quarterback and a field goal of 35 by the Rams. 6.5 in the first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. Pizza Hut, official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And by Ram Trucks.
Well, before today's game, the Niners unveiled new statues commemorating the catch. Joe Montana's game-winning touchdown pass to Dwight Clark with under a minute left in the 81 championship game against Dallas. 28-27, the winner, and the Niners a trip to the Super Bowl. There's Dwight Clark's number where he caught it. Super Bowl 16, Pontiac Silverdome. They would go on to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals. In fact, the uniforms today from the 94 team, that is out of the end zone. Touchback. Richie James lets it sail over his head. Let's go back to the 81 championship game. Cowboys and Niners.
For the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. Looking, throwing in the end zone. Dwight Clark, 28-27 San Francisco.
Vin Scully, last game he called for CBS. Mostert in the backfield. Won that in 81. Uniforms today to commemorate the 94 Super Bowl champions. Mostert busting free into the secondary and down to the 40-yard line. 15-yard burst. He averaged over 7 in Green Bay on Monday. That's a first down.
This is why you carry a fullback on the roster. Watch the kick-out block from Juszczyk, and this is a good-looking hole for Mostert. A missed tackle there in the hole by Mark Barron.
Mostert with incredible speed, fourth-year player out of Purdue, undrafted. And with the injury to Breida and still on the sideline, Mostert is in there. First down and 10. And a little shovel pass. Mostert here in the open space and down the middle to the 36-yard line and brought down by LaMarcus Joyner. A burst of 23, another Niner first down.
And plays that look the same but are different. Now the back's going to go up, and he's just going to hook back around knowing that the shovel pass is coming. And look at this. This is a very similar play to what we just saw. So he turns the end man on the line of scrimmage loose. I think this is the beauty of Kyle Shanahan's offense. The marriage of the runs with the play action, as good as there is in football.
We have a first and 10. And he just overshoots. That's the fullback. Juszczyk covered on the play by Corey Littleton. Great in pass coverage. Steve Tasker's on the sideline.
Yeah, Matt Breida, number 22, running back for the 49ers. He's questionable to return to the game with an ankle injury. Now, it looks to me, his body language, he's got his helmet on. He looks like he could come back into the game, but they've made the determination. It looks like that they'll only use him in an emergency, and they're going to go the rest of the way with the guys that they've got.
Steve, thank you. 6 in the secondary for the Rams on this second down and 10. Mostert. Staley will pull and block. Bourne with the block, and Mostert has got a first down. He's inside the 27 to the Ram 26 on a burst of 11. He's had a run of 15, a catch of 23, and a run right there of 11 yards.
I can't underestimate the importance of the running game for the 49ers. You look at these numbers. Since Kyle Shanahan took over, the 49ers are just 1-9 when they rush for under 100 yards as a team. They're off to a really good start with Mostert.
Another first down. Blocked here by Mostert. And then he goes out for the little screen, and reading it well was Corey Littleton. With a loss of 1, back to the 28-yard line. Second trip to New York. Our studios, and there we find Phil Simms.
All right, thank you, Kevin. How about this? Overtime down in Tampa. 59-yard field goal by Chandler Cannizzaro. The Buccaneers win 26-23 in overtime. Back to Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
Phil, thank you. Second down, 11. Alfred Morris is now in as the running back in a drive that began back on the 25 of the San Francisco 49ers. Second down, 11. Into the end zone and incomplete. They were looking for Marquise Goodwin, and the coverage on the play by Troy Hill.
Well, Goodwin provided a real spark in his return to the lineup last Monday night. Look at the cushion he's getting here. You know, from the secondary, Troy Hill, who had a rough outing last week against the Broncos. He doesn't want to get beat.
Yeah, the Broncos threw at him 10 times, Troy Hill, and they completed 8 of them. Struggled against Denver last week. He started the last couple games, though. Third down and 11 here. Juszczyk is in, is the back. Beathard brought down. Littleton has been all over the place. The undrafted third-year player out of Washington. That knocks him out of field goal range. Put him now back to about the 38.
Yeah, we had a great visit with Littleton last night, and one of the things they said was that the 49ers, in particular, C.J. Beathard, they don't handle the blitz and pressure very well, and you could see they had no answer there for Littleton. Juszczyk late getting back inside to take the hit off the quarterback.
Against Green Bay last Monday night, they were only 2-9 on third down. Good play by Littleton. We talked to him yesterday. What a terrific young player who Wade Phillips absolutely loves. Bradley Pinion is back to punt for San Francisco. And D-back for the Rams is JoJo Natson. Had some time with the Jets a year ago. Well placed. Good bounce out about the 11 or 12-yard line. Terrific punt by Bradley Pinion. Here comes Goff. Here come the Rams offense with under 3 to go in the first. The undefeated Los Angeles Rams on CBS.
A good look at the reigning coach of the year, Sean McVay, helped transform the worst offense in football to the game's most dangerous in just a little over a year.
32 years old, Rich.
Put up a lot of points each week.
My goodness.
Yeah, same thing.
Number 1 scoring team in pro football. There's a 1st and 10 with Goff and the fake to Gurley. And downfield and caught. 32-yard line and a grab by Cooks, the ex-Patriot. And New Orleans Saints picks up 20.
Well, predominantly they use just one personnel grouping. It's called 11 personnel. It's 1 tight end, 1 receiver, one running back, and 3 receivers. And use the league high 97% of the time. So it's not like it's overly complicated in terms of what you're going to see Sundays.
Sullivan a block and the screen pass for Gurley. He's out to the 39-yard line, and falling him out there was Earl Mitchell. A gain of 7 on the play for Gurley, the reigning offensive player of the year in the NFL.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons why they use just the one personnel grouping. I think they want to get their best players on the field. I think they want to commit to an identity. It can't be everything. Sometimes simpler is more, and I also think that they want to control the tempo. I think their biggest advantage is they can decide when the ball is snapped, so they can jump the ball, they don't have to make the substitutions, and it makes things a little bit easier for the quarterback, Jared Goff.
Cooper Kupp is out today. Reynolds will be taking his place. 2nd down, 3 and downfield with an incompletion. Almost picked off, in fact, on the play by Witherspoon. They were going for Woods, who becomes the number 1 receiver today. Yeah, Kupp is out, injured last week with the knee MCL sprain in Denver. 3rd and 3 coming up for the Rams. We've mentioned that Sherman is out. We've mentioned that Jimmy Ward is out. The 2 starting cornerbacks on the San Francisco defense, which comes in as number 19. Malcolm Brown is the new running back for Los Angeles. 3rd and 3 for Goff. Hagerstein with the block at the right tackle. That's high. Almost picked off right through the hands of Jaquiski Tartt. He had it right through his hands. Incomplete. It's 4th down. Here comes the punting unit for L.A.
I think it just surprised him, Kevin.
Yeah, you too.
It was an overthrow, and I just think he had his eyes on the receiver and picked up the ball a little bit late. I mean, clearly Everett wasn't going to be able to make that catch. I think it just got on Tartt before he could make the adjustment.
4-time Pro Bowler Johnny Hekker will punt. The back is Richie James. Looks into that bright Northern California sky. What a great punt. They're going to let it land out of bounds inside the 20 with a hang time of 4.9, 43-yarder. 1:13 in the first quarter. Tartt just about had a big timeout. Pretty day in the Bay Area. Golden Gate Bridge and San Francisco in the background there. Here's a punt by the Rams to the Niners. San Francisco has lost 4 straight coming in. 1-1 at home. 1-5 coming into the game. Breida back in with a 1st and 10 pitch. And hit by a ton, including Mark Barron, who allows him just a gain of 2. Rich out to the 22-yard line and a shove after the play.
Well, it's a great graphic because I think it speaks volumes about the job that Kyle Shanahan has done, and I think his ability to adjust the scheme to the personnel. You lose your starting quarterback, you think you're going to see.
Ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense.
Wow.
1st down.
In the pile, the ball was loose. It was a delayed call, as you heard, and Breida fumbles the ball.
Well, I never saw it come out, Kevin. It's a big
either.
pile.
Let's watch it again. He had just come in from being worked on with an injury in the first series. Never saw it.
Well, what happened was Aaron Donald rips it out. And somehow, not only does he rip it out, but he's able to hold on to it. Watch he rips it from his arm, and he's got it right here in the pile. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Watch Aaron Donald. He's right there. He's got his arm in the pile, and now he's able to pull it and just hold on to it. I mean, that's an amazing play by the Pro Bowl defensive tackle. And that's why you pay him a lot of money. Plays like that.
Reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald.
That's why we didn't see it, because not only did he pull it out, never hit the ground.
No, just grabbed it. So on 3 possessions, the Niners have fumbled twice and punted. And against a only unbeaten team in pro football, Ram offense, which leads the league in scoring. Here they go, beginning once again in San Francisco territory. This time at the 21 with the 1st and 10. Goff to Gurley. He was trying with the block. Initially got tripped up there by Sheldon Day, a gain of 3 to the 17.
Well, this is the biggest reason why the 49ers have won just one game so far this season, is the turnovers. And they got 16 fumbles, maybe 17 fumbles. It was 16 coming into today's game. 17 fumbles already this season. And you're just not going to win when you don't take care of the football. Rams don't need any help on offense. They're the number 1 offense in football, the number 1 scoring offense in football as well.
Most turnovers in the league. It will come back to bite you now. Minus 13, 2nd and 7. Gurley. Push the pile there. He's inside the 15-yard line. A couple on that pile, including Earl Mitchell. It is a gain of 4 down to the 14 of the Niners.
Bro, I just love watching Todd Gurley work. He's on pace for 2,320 yards and 29 touchdowns.
Wow.
We're talking to him about the touchdown record last night.
He's
He's
the end
well
of the first
aware
quarter.
of where he stands.
Number 1 rusher, number 1 scorer. Gurley doing it all. 2 first-quarter San Francisco turnovers. We return to Santa Clara after this on CBS. Niners have had 2 turnovers, both in their own territory, and this is setting up this 4th possession for the Rams. They beat Denver last week 23-20, losing Monday in Green Bay, San Francisco, on a walk-off game-winning field goal. 3rd and short have not been kind to this team today, Rich.
No, not good. They're just 1 of 4 on 3rd down. They were one of the best 3rd down teams in football the first 3 games of the season at 54%. Last 3, the numbers dropped to 38%.
Jet sweep. Here comes Crooks. He's got the 1st down to the 8-yard line. Wrestled down that time by defensive back Okello Witherspoon. Gain of 6 and a 1st down. 1st and goal to go.
They just watch the movement at the point of attack. You see the right tackle and tight end get out and kick out. It gets us. You watch these speed sweeps, and they're so hard to defend because they get on you so quick. I mean, it's the rhythm, the timing, and the speed that they have with guys like Woods and Brandon Cooks.
Gurley the back, 1st and goal at the 7. Todd Gurley knifing in for the touchdown. 7-yard touchdown run. Todd Gurley, his 12th touchdown of the season, 10th on the ground. And they cash in on the fumble.
Well, just watch the movement you get right here. I mean, this is a huge hole for Todd Gurley. You see the center, the left guard, they get the double team block, and just that works its way up into the safety. I mean, they literally push the 3 technique right back into the lap of Tart. And you look at the way Todd Gurley runs. I mean, it's violent when it's inside the 10-yard line. He's got a nose for the end zone. Look at that body lean at the end.
At 11 touchdowns, tied for the 2nd most through 6 games since 1970. Here comes the extra point. Zerline will put it up. He's kicked the 35-yard field goal. They welcome him back after missing the game with a groin injury. 10-0 Rams. We're just into the 2nd quarter. 10 points by Elway off of 2 San Francisco turnovers. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Lowe's. Rich, Todd Gurley has had 10 consecutive games scoring a touchdown. That is the longest active streak right now in the NFL.
Yeah, some good company. We were having this conversation with him last night. He was aware of Sean Alexander. We talked a lot about LaDainian Tomlinson. Kevin, I remember that season where he actually set the record, and every time they got inside the 10-yard line, he just kept feeding them the football, and I think we're seeing more and more of that with the Rams and Gurley.
Here's the ensuing kickoff. James will let it go out of the end zone. Touchback to the 25 and a 1st and 10 for San Francisco.
Well, they need to get something going offensively. They've gotten off to a slow start. You cannot afford to fall behind against the #1 offense in football, and puts a lot of pressure on your young quarterback, C.J. Beathard. They've got it, Kevin. The turnovers continue to be an issue for him and for this offense. You know, you look at him, just 1-7 as a starter. He's had just 1 game without an interception.
4 in the secondary. Mostert is the running back. 1st down and 10. Oh, he didn't know, and he jumps on the ball. Could have been another turnover. The center is Weston Richburg, a veteran. And it came up, either he was messed up on the count or Beathard was going to change it. They lose 2 right there.
Well, it looks like that Beathard saw something, Kevin. Looked like he was going to change the play and make an adjustment, something from the audible. And the center, Richburg, he never got it. Not only that, but you can see the rest of the offensive line move as well. There's a miscommunication there, and another ball on the ground for the Niners.
Sloppy beginning for the Niners. 2nd down and 13. Beathard. And looking for his tight end, Kittle. Coverage on the play by Barron. He was one of a couple Rams back there. Incomplete. 3rd and 13 right now for the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, you can just tell that Beathard's got a real comfort level throwing the ball to Kittle. They played together at Iowa for 4 seasons. Kittle leads the Niners in receptions and receiving yards. Leads all NFL tight ends in yards after catch. He's been really effective. I mean, in a critical situation, that's usually where Beathard is looking to throw the football.
They need their own 35, 3rd and 13.
These are the situations you want to avoid against the Rams.
Beathard hit as he throws. He'll go down. May have been Donald. Regardless, another Rams sledgehammer. 3rd sack by the LA defense. Pushing back to the 16-yard line. Here comes the Niner punting unit.
And it's just a 4-man rush. They do a terrific job collapsing the pocket and forcing Beathard to have to step up, and then it just gets to him. Look at the push they get. I mean, this guy's hard to block. I mean, I know they paid him a lot of money, Kevin. I just think he's worth every dime.
Yeah, of course.
I just constantly see him walk defenders right back into the lap of the quarterback.
Pinion has it blocked. It was blocked and recovered maybe outside the end zone. Littleton got it. Corey Littleton has just blocked his 4th punt since the start of last year. He already has blocked 1 this season, recovered for a touchdown.
Rolling on the field is a blocked punt. Ball went out of the back of the end zone for safety.
Pinion has his 1st blocked punt of his 4-year career. And Corey Littleton does it again. He has been a 1-man wrecking crew coming through the block. Another 2 for the Rams in Santa Clara. And special teams, something else. Week 3 against the Chargers, recovering a blocked punt in the end zone for a score. Week 5 against the Seahawks. Forced a short 5-yard punt deep in Seattle territory. Pinion with his 1st career block. Littleton got it.
And look, Kevin, if they just would have had some patience here, Hodge and Hager, I mean, they just both fighting for the ball. If someone just would have knocked it back, they may have scored a touchdown instead of the safety.
Well, as you know, on a safety, you punt the ball.
There is no play.
Punt
The ball cannot be kicked
from your 20.
until it is whistled ready for play. There is no penalty.
That's Walt Anderson, our crew chief. Littleton, we just talked about this with him last night, Rich, about how he had to, as an undrafted player, he felt he had to star on special teams to get noticed.
And it's the importance of the kicking game. I think he realizes that every play in the kicking game either is points or field position, and I think that he takes pride in that, in the little things. He says, I go to all the special teams meetings. In fact, he had to leave our meeting last night to go to a special teams meeting. And you talk about an undrafted player, Kevin, he realizes the importance of the kicking game. And that says something for a guy who's also their starting middle linebacker.
And here comes the punt now after the safety. JoJo Natson on his own 24-yard line. And he gets a nice block and takes it up the side there. Bryce Hager was blocking for him on that sideline. They're going to get great beginning field position. 23-yard return. Steve's on the sideline.
Breakdown by the guard up on their punt coverage. It was their punt protection team There's no question. He got the punter. Pinion would have gotten that off at 2.1, which is exactly right where he should have been. He didn't. It didn't take a long time. Littleton just got through unscathed. He just kind of hung in there. And so many times, the punt protection team takes it for granted that nobody is rushing. The Rams crossed him up, sent some heat, and Littleton with perfect form got the ball right off the punter's foot. And you're right, Rich. They gave up some points. That should have been a touchdown.
First down and 10. Goff wants to go deep and does. Wide open Woods. Brought down by Adrian Colbert. Big time gain of 31 yards to the 21 of San Francisco.
Well, I love plays that look the same, that are different. You're going to see him start in the middle of the field, and then he works all the way back off of play action. And play action has been very effective on 1st and 10.
Single it. Yeah.
Fake pitch to Gurley. Here comes Goff. Looking downfield, the pump fake, and he runs out of bounds right in front of K'Wan Williams, who McVay specifically pointed out that he liked. It's a gain of about 4 right there, down to the 17.
You just watch the reaction from the defense when you see the back go to the right. I mean, look at that. They're all off the screen, and the only one back there holding up is the corner, K'Wan Williams. I think of Goff as a great runner, but it's a good job there picking up 5 on 1st and 10.
Niners play with basically 5 in their secondary all the time. In this one, 2nd down and 5. Gurley, big hole, Blythe, and then closing it up to Forrest Buckner. He's a good one. It is a gain of 2 down to the 14-yard line. That hole was big, and Buckner closed it in a hurry.
Well, I think Buckner's their best, second best player on defense, their best defensive lineman by far. He has 4.5 sacks. He's a big man. He's 6'7". He's 300 pounds. He's violent. He plays hard. He doesn't take plays off. They need more production from the rest of the defensive line, Kevin. That's the reality. I mean, you look at Solomon Thomas, you look at Eric Armstead. These are all first-round picks that have underperformed for the 49ers.
6 in the secondary. That's a pass and was read well. Beautiful play on that pass, read by Ronald Blair. Losing 5. They gave it to the player tight end Gerald Everett. Back to the 19.
Well, they don't even block him. I mean, this is pretty easy, Kevin. You can make this play. I mean, he just turned him loose. I mean, I think he's surprised. He's like, look what I just found. Gerald Everett. They don't even block him.
So the ball's at the 19. There's a bit of a breeze in the face of kicker Greg Zuerlein. Pro Bowler receives and a go. 37-yard field goal try. Set up on a 31-yard pass to Woods. And it's 15-0 the Rams. Their first 6-0 start since 2001. And they're working on their NFC West opponent Niners today.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get. The Grinch, in theaters November 9th. And by the Crown Royal Water Break. Moderate your drinking on game day.
Do you think they're watching our game in there? In that lighthouse?
That's very scenic, isn't it? let's keep your mind on the game, would
sorry,
you please?
Excuse me. You can't turn the ball over in this league. I mean, I don't know how many times you can say it.
And really, that's the reason why they've won just one game, Kevin. They've got the worst turnover differential in all of football. And you look at how they started today's game. Beathard puts it on the ground. Breida puts it on the ground. They get a punt blocked. And trust me, the Rams have the #1 offense in football. They don't need any help with field position or points. And the 49ers are making it too easy on the Rams here in the first half.
Well, the ensuing kickoff after the 37-yard field goal out of the end zone, 25-yard line, touchback, 1st and 10 Niners.
Well, we talked about the mistakes the 49ers have made. It's so important to start fast. I mean, I think sometimes the pocket presence for C.J. Beathard simply not there. Breida, he left the game early with an ankle injury. Sometimes you come back, Kevin, you're not 100% the speed of the game. And then, of course, Littleton. I love this guy. I mean, I love players who love football, who love competing, who love doing the little things. And you look at Corey Littleton, he does it for the Rams.
The pistol with Alfred Morris, first down and 10. Morris picking and poking his way, then jumping on his back was Ndamukong Suh out to about the 31-yard line. Give him a gain of 6 on first down.
Well, the average starting field position hasn't worked well for the 49ers. You look at the Rams, they started at the 46, the 49ers at their own 25-yard line, making things a little bit more difficult for their head coach and play caller, Kyle Shanahan.
Rams have 10 points off of 2 Niner turnovers. San Francisco with both those turnovers in their own zone. Second down and 4 for C.J. Beathard. Morris again. He'll work his way into the grasp of linebacker Mark Barron and pick up 5. Put him out to the 36 with the first down run. Let's go back to New York in our CBS studios.
Superb Drew to a quality guy. How about this? Drew Brees to Ben Watson, 1-yard touchdown. His 500th touchdown pass of his career. Manning, Favre, Brady, and now Drew Brees. Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
And against the Redskins on a Monday night a couple weeks ago, he passed everybody in passing yards. Another accomplishment for the terrific Drew Brees. First down and 10. Morris. And again, you see the big gold yellow wall right there to bring him down. Littleton at the core of it, gain of 2. Rich is out to the 38-yard line.
Well, you could just hear the hard count there from C.J. Beathard. I think you have to be able to change it up. This snap count, mix in a few hard counts to take the edge off this Rams pass rush, especially in Ndamukong Suh. He's got a history of trying to jump the snap count. Got to help your offensive line by constantly changing up the snap count to slow down Suh and Donald and Brockers inside.
Mostert is in. Nickel secondary, second down and 8. Looking for Goodwin, shoved up the middle, short pass. Mostert got it, but boy, was there pressure. Suh and Donald. I mean, I can't think of a better 1-2 combination. They lose a yard on the play. It's back down to the 36.
They close on you so quickly. They force you to make quick decisions. It's just, you look at Mark Barron. This 49ers are a very good screen team. And when they see action away, they told us last night, you've got to hug up and find the back.
Niners the last couple games now have given away 10. They've had no takeaways. Turnovers biting them here today against the best team in football, undefeated Los Angeles. Third down and 10. Beathard moves up on the move, needs the 46. He's got the first down, then he fumbled as he hit the deck, but I'm sure they're saying he's down, and they do at the 49. 13-yard run by quarterback C.J. Beathard on 3rd and 10, 13-yard pickup, first down.
Quarterback was giving himself up by diving head first. Effective this year, that makes the ball dead by rule. First down.
And it's a really nice job by the officials there, Kevin. And remember, in the past, that would have been a fumble. But you look at Walt Anderson does a really terrific job explaining that the rule change this year when the quarterback dives head first, gives himself up, he's down at that point.
C.J. Beathard, whose grandfather was the Hall of Famer, the legendary Bobby Beathard. Morris was in, 1st and 10, shuffling nicely. He's got his, it's picked off! Picked off by Troy Hill. Comes up with it, gets back on his horse and takes it near the 40-yard line. 3 San Francisco turnovers. Interception thrown right there by the quarterback, Beathard. And Hill comes up with his first interception of the season.
First down, Los Angeles, timeout.
Was this an interception? NFL rules analyst Gene Steratore joins us. Gene, what do you think?
At this point, I don't have an angle that's a clear shot of whether that football hits the ground, but boy, it's moving an awful lot when that defensive player lands. I don't know that there's enough for that to jump out. If they do rule that interception, which they appeared to, he separated and gave him the return.
Malcolm Brown is back there as the running back. Gene, thank you. There wasn't enough there to turn it over.
Get him out! Get the ball!
Texas Longhorn goes into a thicket of Niner defenders, but pushes a pile and takes him up to the 46-yard line with a nice gain of 6 on first down.
Well, the Rams are so good on first down, whether it's run or pass. They're averaging just under 6 yards per play on first down, and they keep themselves in manageable situations because of the production on first down.
So 3 first-half turnovers by San Francisco. Brown remains in the backfield. Second down and 4. Malcolm Brown blocked by Whitworth. Blocked downfield too by Cooks and Woods, but doesn't open up anything right there. Forced out of bounds. Witherspoon among a couple over there. Back to New York in our CBS studio.
A 56-yarder from Flacco to John Brown sets this up.
Yeah, it leads to this. Lamar Jackson with the fake gets a 1-yard touchdown run. It puts the Baltimore Ravens up 10-7. I don't think Rich Gannon would have liked being taken out for that run, but back to Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, and Steve Tasker.
Well, you're
Bill
right.
Sims, you're right. I would have not liked that at all. But, you know, when Lamar Jackson comes in the game, it's one of two things. He either hands it off or he keeps it himself. You go back and do a breakdown of the Ravens since week 1.
There is a down 49er defender across the way, as you can see, as I take a look at him. So Beathard has turned it over twice. A fumble on the first series, a pick right there by Hill. This is his 4th start this year. He's accounted for 9 turnovers himself. There is K'Wan Williams getting up and off the field. An injury-riddled secondary, too, for the Niners. Out today, Sherman with a calf. Jimmy Ward has got a hamstring. He's gone. And so they're just trying to put the pieces together. Rich, back there, it's been decimated.
And that happened right on the Rams sidelines, Kevin. And Sean McVay was sitting right there and saw that. Don't think for a second he's not aware of the fact that they are very thin in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position.
So DJ Reed comes in his stead. 3rd down and 3. Brown remains. He'll flare. Goff caught by Williams, and he should have the first down. Lassoed on the play by Reed. Rich, you called it down to the 48-yard line. A pickup of 6 on 3rd and 3. They just signed Nick Williams this week, taking the place of the injured Cooper Kupp.
I've really been impressed with Jared Goff's pocket presence and his movement. Just watch him slide. He sees the rush up inside from Buckner. He's unfazed when something goes wrong and he's in the pocket. He executes this system so flawlessly, extremely accurate. Will hang in there in the pocket and get that tight contested throw.
1st and 10 outside. They go to Gurley. Shoved out of bounds by Jaquiski Tartt. Strong safety out of bounds. They'll say at about the 42 on a gain of 6.
I really enjoyed what Todd Gurley said to me last night. Kevin, you were in that meeting room. I said, hey, what's your biggest concern about this 49ers defense? He looked me straight in the eye and said, nothing.
He said us.
It's all about us and our execution. It really is.
You're right.
Nothing.
Terrific player at the University of Georgia. Down in 4. Malcolm Brown. Oh, and he finds a great bulldozing move. Takes it down to the 32-yard line. Hit down there by a couple, including Thomas. Nice gain of 10. Put him inside the 33. First down, L.A.
Well, they run so many plays that look similar, look the same, but are very different. It's one of the things that Richard Sherman told us on Friday, the just-like plays.
Blocked by Higbee, buys time for Goff, and he's got his running back Brown, who was chased down by Armstead after a gain of 6 down to the Niner 27. Rams have won the last 2 games by a total of 5 points. They've won the last 3 by a total of 12. But today, domination in all 3 phases. Second down and 4. Brown blocked by Sullivan. And he squirms his way for a first down, squeezing yardage down the 19-yard line. That's a pickup of 8. This is a nice chance for Gurley to catch his breath and Brown to get some carries.
I think this offensive line has really played well, especially in the running game. It's a team they rushed for 270 yards last week against the Broncos.
Gurley is in, 1st and 10. Goff, deep, touchdown, Cooks. And he beats the defensive back, Okello Witherspoon. 19-yard completion for a touchdown. Wow.
really good-looking route. Just watch him as he starts inside. He's going to literally break all the way back across the field. So he gets the corner thinking that he's heading to the post. That's very difficult on a guy like Witherspoon, but a great throw there and a great catch to get it done.
So Cooks has his second touchdown reception of the season, a 19-yarder from the quarterback Goff, who throws his 13th touchdown pass of the year. Extra point is away by Zerline, 22-0 the Rams. 2.5 in the second quarter. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Geico. Rich, we've talked about the great offense. It's the #1 scoring offense in pro football for most of the season. #1 scoring differential in the NFL. Goff has been a master, and like I said, all three phases are working on it.
Well, we talk about complementary football, right? They're getting it done on offense. The defense is taking it away, and they get a big play in the kicking game. A blocked punt from Corey Littleton. Kevin, this has been a one-sided affair so far. And, you know, we talked about divisional games, and we talk as a crew about how this could be a tight game into the fourth quarter. And they usually are because of the familiarity with one another. But yet you turn the football over and you give yourself very little chance to win games.
They have the most turnovers in the National Football League, 17. You just saw the Verizon halftime report coming up. JB and Company, news, scores, and highlights. Verizon halftime next from New York on CBS. Morris in the backfield. Good blocking. Good throw, caught by Kittle. He's got room to roam. Rich told you about his yards after catch. Littleton chases him down from behind. They're in Ram territory to the 40, a pickup of 35 yards through the air. Kittle, what a bright young star he is for this team.
It just works between the two backers. He's a nice looking hole there. Patience by C.J. Beathard giving his tight end a chance to work in the middle of the field.
This is a 2-minute warning.
We reached the 2-minute warning in Santa Clara. Rams and Niners on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Uber. Doors are always opening. And by Chipotle. For real.
Rich actually shot that with his phone yesterday. It was nice. Flight deck roller coaster. Right across the parking lot. 2-minute warning.
More you can do, Kevin.
More you can do. That's right, Rich. 3 timeouts apiece after a 35-yard catch and run by the tight end. Beathard on 1st and 10. He goes to Kittle again. His dad played some college football at Oklahoma. Look at that run downfield. Gain of 23. Actually played at Iowa, his dad did. Then coached at Oklahoma. He's coached his son well. You can see it.
Well, you look at the action. I mean, this is good looking. You see Kittle's just going to sneak out. And Beathard does a great job selling it. I've really been impressed with George Kittle. Extremely productive for the 49ers.
Troy Hill made that last tackle. They got as far as the 17. So on this drive, Kittle has caught and run with the ball for 35 yards, for 23 yards. Here they go, 1st and 10. Rita in motion, injured earlier, back out there now for a second time. Jet sweep, looking for a block. McGlinchey offers it. Juszczyk offers it, and down the side he goes. Run out of bounds by a couple, including Littleton. Gain of 7. You know, they turn that corner with that speed. They can make a difference. They're down inside the 11.
Yeah, McGinsley's going to be a good one, Kevin. You mentioned the right tackle. Look at him get out in front. He is a big man. And he is, I think, eventually going to be the left tackle once Staley decides to retire.
Troy Hill is down on a knee. There he is, in back of that athletic trainer.
Charge timeout.
Rams have had 17 points off of 3 Niner turnovers in the first half. And there goes Hill, who had a pick a little bit earlier in this first half. Verizon halftime is coming up from our CBS studios in New York. JB, Phil Boomer, Coach Cowher will have all the scores, highlights, in a very busy week in the NFL. All coming up on the Verizon halftime report from our studios in New York. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, and Steve Tasker on a beautiful day in Santa Clara, but not for the head coach. Kyle Shanahan is dealing with a multitude of injuries and turnovers today.
It's critical they come away with a touchdown here and not a field goal before the half.
2nd down, 3, Breida. Digging, turning, drilled. Donald at the bottom, Barron on top of him. He gets down to the 7, and he picks up 3 right there. He'll be very close to a first down.
Really like Matt Breida. He's averaging 6.8 yards a carry. He's tops in the NFL right now. He's an explosive runner. He's got 6 runs of 20 yards or more, which is the second most. What I like about him, he runs hard for a smaller back.
Jerick McKinnon was the guy, and he blew a knee before the season began. So you lose your number 1 running back, McKinnon. You lose your quarterback, Garoppolo, who just, by the way, got back to the offices a couple days ago. 3rd and 1 coming up. And they'll take a timeout. Garoppolo had the ACL surgery a little bit earlier. Had it October 3rd. Back this past week for the first time. We assume he is in the building today. Was hurt in Kansas City back on September 26th at Arrowhead.
It was a good decision there by Kyle Shanahan. You talk about game management. I think he ran that clock down. They don't want to give the ball back to the Rams with a lot of time on the clock. So he decided to keep the team in the huddle, run the clock down, and use one of their timeouts. You see good look at McVay and Goff over there talking about the situation when they get the ball back, what they can do before the half to come away with more points.
2 tight ends, 3rd and 1. Breida is in, and the call, and he's got the first down. That's as far as the 5 or 6 blockers, and they also had in there John Johnson. Being the 3, they're going to get the first down.
He's limping again, too.
He is. Not good, Rich.
You know, I always say this game's hard to play when you're healthy, but when you're not, especially at that position, that's tough.
Mostert will take his place. Yeah, like we said, he came in with ankle and shoulder issues. The leading rusher for the Niners, Matt Breida. 1st and goal at the 5. Hughes check. Oh, stonewalled right there. Donald came through. Abukham came through 2, losing 4 on the play, back to about the 9.
This was going to be an option play. Just watch the back work in unison. I think what was going to happen was go ahead and freeze it. I think he was going to pitch the ball, but before he could do that, my man Aaron Donald was there. You know, for the most part, you know, we were talking last night to Rams defensive coordinator Wade Phillips, and he said the last time they played the 49ers, they doubled Aaron Donald the entire game. And you look at the production, most tackles for losses since 2014. Even when he's getting double teamed, he finds a way to be disruptive in the opponent's backfield.
2nd down and goal at the 10. Beathard. Drop. Kittle. Tough. With the coverage there, John Johnson among a couple others, but it was in his hands. It is incomplete. It is 3rd and goal.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yep.
And he's working back inside where there's bodies, and that was kind of hot and high. Put it in his frame. Good look at the call sheet there for Kyle Shanahan. He's got a lot of plays that he can dial up at any time.
He's 38, McVay 32, which got on the air today and talked about how they're the future of the offense in the NFL. Matt Nagy, another one up in Chicago. 3rd and goal at the 10. Good time for Beathard. And caught by Kittle at the 1. He had a couple there, including Nikel Roby-Coleman. Gain of 9. Did he get in? Let's see.
I think he was
shy.
I think he was coming back out.
Yep,
now Kyle
Shanahan
has a decision, Kevin. If it's me, I'm going for it.
Well, Rich, let's see where he catches that ball.
I think he's got it.
I think he does, too.
It's a touchdown.
Great job by our director, Mark Grant, our producer, Jonathan Siegel.
Final timeout, San Francisco. Please reset the game clock to 10 seconds.
Well, that other angle had it even better, and I just think that he had possession of it as he was working back out.
Short of the goal line is under further review.
Has it?
Yeah, that's a touchdown.
I think it is, too. Review comes from upstairs. We're inside 2 minutes.
Boy, great throw by Beathard.
How about Kittle, though? I mean, doubled right there. A couple guys right on him, including Roby-Coleman.
Well, that's the question. So you look at Coleman there trying to get that ball out of the left arm.
Marquis Christian in there, too.
You can't really see from this angle what the cornerback is doing in terms of where that ball, whether the ball is still moving, whether he has control of it at that point. It's probably a better angle. I think he's got it on in his chest. I think he's got control of it. I think that could be a touchdown.
Ram defense has given up a lot of touchdowns. With a lot of plays over 40 yards, the most in the NFL coming in. We saw on this particular drive, Kittle with a couple nice catch and runs. Back to our NFL rules analyst in New York, Gene Steratore, watching. Gene, what do you think on this one?
Two pieces of this one, guys. First is the possession, which I think he does have possession, and now it is when he's possessed his football, is he in the end zone. He is not driven backwards, so forward progress is not playing right now, where we give him the most advantageous spot because of a defense pushing him back. So when he's possessing it, I still think the possession happens when he is at the goal line, which, in my opinion, I would overturn this and make this a touchdown.
I think we're in agreement, aren't we, Rich?
Yeah, I think I see it the same way. Initially, Kevin, at real speed, it seemed like he was, when we first saw it, it happened, looked like he caught the ball and was coming back out of the end zone, but then at that other angle, you could tell clearly he was a yard in the end zone. And I think that's going to be a touchdown. I think he's got possession of it.
Again, they continue to review it upstairs.
Yeah, I think clearly at this point he's got possession, and he still hasn't crossed back over the goal line from the opposite angle.
Gene, it's tight, but I think the camera angle our guys have from the truck is pretty good.
Yeah, the camera angle I'm looking at down the goal line, Kevin, and even 23, the defensive back, he has his elbow on the back of that receiver, so if he's moving him back into the field of play at all,
after
you have
reviewing the
forward
play,
progress.
The receiver possessed the ball while airborne in the end zone, was driven back into the field of play where he maintained control of the ball. By rule, that is a touchdown. Please reset the game clock.
We're right on it, Rich.
Well, that was big for the 49ers.
Sure was.
Talk about creating some momentum after a really bad start to this game, and now they go into the halftime feeling pretty good about themselves offensively. That was an important drive for the 49ers.
So it's a 10-yard touchdown pass to the tight end, George Kittle. His second touchdown reception. Walt Anderson wants to hold up.
Kevin, if you're the Rams, you better have a plan for George Kittle in the second half.
Yes.
I mean, he's their leading receiver. He leads them in targets, receptions, yards. And that's where the quarterback wants to throw the football right now. That's who we trust.
Niners are going to get the timeout back. Bobby Gold will try the extra point, making it 22-7. Kittle with a nice catch. Like we said, his dad played some college football at Iowa. And he played with Beathard in Iowa City with the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, leads all NFL tight ends. I mentioned this before, yards after catch. He's really good. He's kind of slippery, and third in receiving yards this season for tight ends with 429. Just got a good knack, good feel for the types of coverage, whether it's man or zone. And I think he's sneaky fast when you really look at him. And look at that group. That's some pretty good tight ends with Kelsey and Cook and McDonald of the Steelers. This kid's only going to get better.
The Niners, Rich, they come in at 1-5 as we talked about. Their last 3 losses have come by a total of 15 points. They played a valiant game up at Lambeau in Green Bay Monday, losing by 3 on a game-winning field goal. Zeros hit the clock. So you see a team that's lost 4 straight. They are 1-5 against an undefeated team like the Rams, so strong. And division rivals, as you say, on the road. We thought coming in this game would be closer. The turnovers have just completely killed the Niners in the first half.
They've lost 4 games in a row, and they held a lead in 3 of them.
Blake Counis will bring it up. And he's brought down by the running back, Mostert. Counis, who is a third-year player out of Auburn, and a 22-yard return.
I think you just kneel on it here. You hand the ball off and head to the locker room with a pretty healthy lead.
Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams, Rich, with the win today. They go to 7-0. The last time they were 7-0 was 1985.
This is a good road team under Sean McVay.
They are.
They are 10-1, and they average just under 32 points a game. And they're a perfect 4-0 against the NFC West.
All right, Rams get 17 points off of 3 San Francisco turnovers. That's the end of the first half. We come back after these first half highlights from Verizon. And a word from your local CBS station.
Want more stats? Hey Siri, who leads the league in rushing yards?
I'll tell you who leads it. It's the running back, the terrific one, Gurley for the Los Angeles Rams. A look at some of the numbers. The 3 turnovers, a pretty big story. 17 points off those turnovers. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, Steve Tasker here in Santa Clara. What do you think so far?
You know, it's amazing that the 49ers are still in this game, Kevin. They're only down 2 scores despite the 3 first-half turnovers. I thought they gained some momentum there right before the half with a big drive and a good finish there by Kittle off the throw from Beathard. But, you know, this first possession for the 49ers is going to be significant. They've got to be able to do something to continue to narrow the gap. And the Rams are a very strong second-half finishing team because they have the best running game and the best running back in football, Todd Gurley.
Rams had no turnovers, no penalties, and the 17 points off those 3 turnovers in the first half. So here comes our second half now between the Los Angeles Rams at 6-0 and the San Francisco 49ers at 1-5. James, he'll let this sail out of the end zone. It's a touchback. It's to the 25, and we take ourselves down to the sideline. And Steve.
Kevin, I spoke to both head coaches at halftime. Kyle Shanahan said, listen, our plan is still good. We cannot turn the football over and take penalties that take us out of position and ruin our vibe. We still like our players, our plays, and our plan, but we've got to stay on the football field. Sean McVay on the other side, hey, we're going to keep on keeping on. The Niners are doing a good job of taking the Rams' running game off the table. The Rams are going to try and make some adjustments to keep their running game involved, particularly since they want to shorten this game in the second half.
Steve, thank you. Alfred Morris in the backfield, a former running back in Washington with the Redskins. It's 1st and 10, first play of the second half. Beathard. Clinch with the block at the right tackle, but then they come through, leaking through, and they bring him down. He had Donald. He may have been the first, but, man, it was a meet at the quarterback. 4th sack today, and they're back to the 16.
Again, Roland, you look, they're trying to take a shot down the field, and it's just taking forever, and he's holding it. That's one of the things where sometimes you look at Beathard, he gets stuck on the primary, and he doesn't work through the progressions. Again, there's Aaron Donald. Kevin, they're grabbing him, they're holding him, they're doubling him. He's still finding a way to get around Beathard.
This defense of the Rams has the second most pressures of any defense in pro football back at Baltimore. 2nd down, 19.
20.
That's caught by Taylor. 21-yard line, hit by Barron. And whacked down the play by Nikel Roby-Coleman. Trent Taylor, who did not play in Green Bay because of a back injury. And a gain in the play of 6.
Kevin, we talk about adjustments at the half. That was the first reception today by a 49ers wide receiver. And, you know, the field shrinks if you can't attack outside the numbers. And the 49ers haven't been able to get their receivers, particularly Goodwin and Garcon, the ball on the early downs.
6 in the secondary, 3rd and 13. Here's check underneath. And on the play at about the 30. Nice pursuit right there, and it's turned in by the defensive back, Marquis Christian. Gain of 9, short of the first by about 4 yards. Here comes the punting unit for the Niners.
Yeah, the sack too much to overcome on 1st down, and they've got to look at ways to open up and expand this passing game. Some play action shots maybe, but they're not doing a good enough job getting the receivers involved in this one.
Last punt was blocked by Bradley Pinion. Minimal breeze inside the stadium today. Joe Mixon on the 35. He's going to get good beginning field position again. A flag is down. He's down to the 45-yard line of San Francisco. Another flag, a late one was thrown. So we've got one back at the 32, one on the left side of the field at the 48, 34-yard punt. It's a 20-yard return. Almost any way you look at it, we're going to see some pretty good beginning field position here for the LA Rams. So his defense comes in number 11. Did a good job there forcing the punt on the first possession for the Niners here in the second half.
Well, the thing I like about JoJo Natson is he attacks the ball in the air. He doesn't let it get on the ground, and it's a sign of a good returner. He's aggressive.
Gurley today, by the way, 23 yards on the ground.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the receiving team. During the kick, holding number 54 of the receiving team. That penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the end of the kick. After the play, there was a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 36. That penalty is declined.
Hager is who they're going to get. Hatfield had the other penalty. So we take a look at the Rams offense here in the Bay Area for the first time in the second half on CBS. Just had a punt on the first second half possession by the San Francisco 49ers. Here come the Rams. Gurley in the backfield. I was going to say Gurley's got 23 yards on the ground. He's got 13 yards through the air. And he's got a touchdown run today. 1st and 10 on the 25.
Killed from the first play to the second play. They called 2 plays in the huddle.
Gurley faked like he was going to block, then releases and read well on the play. Nice defensive play turned in by Solomon Thomas and a loss of 1.
Well, it's fun to watch this offense. They just have so many weapons. You look at Robert Woods, great protection up there, this offensive line. Look at the movement they get at the point of attack for Todd Gurley. And then you give Jared Goff some time, and you look at Brandon Cooks. He starts to the post, works all the way back to the corner for the touchdown. Put the Rams up 22-0 at that point.
Rams offense, which returns 10 starters from a season ago. 2nd down and 12. Niners in the nickel. Whitworth with the block. Williams, who is met by Reuben Foster. Second-year first-round pick out of Alabama. Gain of 11 on the play, put him up to the 33.
They're getting those bunch sets, and it's difficult to press the receiver, and you just see this little hook route from Nick Williams, who dropped the pass, a touchdown pass a couple weeks ago from the Tennessee Titans, and was released the following day. It's a tough business.
3rd down and 1. Todd Gurley, he's got it and more. Running into the secondary, Tart makes the stop, gain of 7, 1st down, 40-yard line.
We mentioned Nick Williams, who was wide open, and good throw by Marcus Mariota. Not able to squeeze it. They wind up losing on the road to the Buffalo Bills. He gets cut. He gets picked up by the Rams, and because of the injury to Kupp, and he's playing week to week.
Reynolds in motion, play action, 1st and 10. Goff going deep, looking for Brooks, and maybe picked off on the play, and it was intercepted on the play and grabbed by Akello. Oh, incomplete. Incomplete. Witherspoon thought he had it. Incomplete, and a player down. That is Adrian Colbert. Colbert and Witherspoon go. Watch Colbert's leg go up underneath him here. He fell awkwardly. Very awkwardly.
Witherspoon had it for a moment.
He did.
And it pops up and hits the ground.
Yep. Only when he rolled over did you see it. Incompletion.
Really nice adjustment, though. You see Colbert there, and he was in the center of the field, and he comes all the way across to make this play. Ball just hung up there too long.
Colbert is down. Face down. There's an injury timeout. A defensive back for the Niners is down. 11 to play in the 3rd quarter on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Wendy's new Sawsum Bacon Classic Cheeseburger. USAA, official NFL salute to service partner. And by Walmart. Discover more ways to shop at Walmart today.
Player down is Adrian Colbert, 2nd-year player out of the University of Miami. He was a 7th-round pick. These were the injuries coming in. Inactive Sherman, inactive Jimmy Ward, the 2 starting corners. Witherspoon and K'Wan Williams in the secondary. This player down, Adrian Colbert.
Yeah, they're thin right now. I mean, they're without 2 of their top 3 corners. You mentioned Sherman and Ward, Kevin, and that Colbert out. Bringing the card out for him right now. And
He began at the University of Texas, then as a senior went and transferred to the University of Miami.
The pass defense was exposed last week by Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. The 49ers surrendered 521 yards and 33 points to Green Bay on Monday night. They've already given up 14 passing touchdowns this season, which is the 5th most. You see Richard Sherman coming out. Came off, he had about a year ago, he had the Achilles injury, and now he's battling with a calf injury. And that's why he's not in uniform today. And he's their best cover corner by far. You know, you look at Sherman, the numbers are amazing. He's only been targeted just 10 times this season on 237 pass attempts. And the 49ers have allowed 1,750 passing yards, and he's only surrendered 28 of them. It means he's only allowed 2 completions, and so not having him on the field significantly changes what they can do defensively with their coverage schemes. You see him limp off the field.
Colbert. This kid's a tough kid now. When he was 10, he was riding his bike. A car went through a stop sign, hit him. He was in a coma for a week. He recovered, and you can see being taken off the field now. He recovered and obviously was able to play some big-time college football. Now he's in the NFL, and we'll try to get an update with him. The replacement will be DJ Reed, who is a rookie out of Kansas State, number 32.
And what usually happens, Kevin, is a team will just go right after him, right?
Yep.
Just find out where he's at and whether or not he's ready to play.
Gurley in the backfield, 2nd down and 10.
And this is in gun. When they're in shotgun, they almost throw it exclusively.
Goff, Woods, right in front of the defensive back, Greg Maben, and he struggled in Green Bay on Monday. That's a gain of 12. That's a Ram first down to the San Francisco 48.
You know, I was looking at the shotgun snaps that the Rams have had so far this season. 117 snaps coming into today's game. Only 10 of them were runs from the gun.
And Rich, over 90% of the time they have the 1 tight end, the 3 wideouts, and the 1 back you've talked about.
That's 11 personnel. It's almost exclusive in terms of what they do offensively. Very complicated. It's just the precision with which they do it.
Gurley 1st and 10. He sprints into the secondary, brought down by Fred Warner, the rookie linebacker for the Niners. Gained of 9, put him at the 39 of San Francisco.
And a lot of the big runs come off this left side of this offensive line. You look at Whitworth and Saffold and the center Sullivan. They do a great job at the point of attack, getting hats up on the 2nd level and open up some gaping holes. In fact, last night, Jared Goff said some of the holes that we've had through the first 6 games of the season have been enormous.
2nd down, Gurley in the open field. And he'll corkscrew his way inside the 25-yard line. 18-yard pickup, a big sprint right there. Gurley with 56 yards on the ground.
And a good play caller will come right back with the very same run. And this is just what you see. And look at this hole. I mean, this is a gaping hole for a back like Gurley. I mean, he doesn't even get touched until he's 10, 12 yards down the field.
Gurley had 208 versus Denver, a career high last week in Chile, Mile High. Brown is the running back. 1st and 10. Malcolm Brown got the cut. Sullivan the center with the block, and he gets a couple. He probably should have been thrown for a loss. He got down to the 18-yard line. And getting off that pile with the hit, Eric Armstead, gain of 3 on the play for Malcolm Brown.
You look at that play sheet there, and you say, what makes a good play caller? I think it's a coach that sees the game through the eyes of the quarterback, a coach that believes in a certain philosophy of football. He doesn't want to be complicated. He wants to play fast. He wants to attack and keep the pressure on.
2nd down, 7 over the head of Higbee. Incomplete. Tart was back there along with Witherspoon. And I think Goff knows he missed one right there. 3rd and 7. Steve, what do you have on the sideline?
Yeah, Adrian Colbert's taken in. It's a leg injury. It wasn't specific to any part of his leg. They're going to take him in, x-ray it, and get some other tests. He's questionable to return, which I think is probably pretty optimistic.
Steve, 3rd and 7, 10th play of the drive. Looks like McVay writes out his plays, Rich, as opposed to getting them printed out like most coaches.
Seems to be working pretty good.
Oh, they're offsides. Well, now the meeting. Is it offsides or false start? They're both pointing.
Neutral zone infraction, number 48, defense. 5-yard penalty. It's still third down.
It's BYU rookie third-round pick Warner.
Well, he got two of them. He got Tart as well, the safety, and they had a little internal pressure coming. And quarterbacks constantly change up that snap count. You put yourself in a very third and manageable and makeable situation down in the red zone.
10th play, long drive. Williams caught one for 11. Woods caught one for 12. Gurley ran for 18. 3rd and 2. Gurley is in. Todd Gurley got by one. Slowed up on the play. They brought in a defensive back, Tart, to slow him up. Then brought down by Buckner. They throw him for a loss of a yard. Back to the 15. They'll try for 3.
Well, we mentioned it. You're going to see the motion come across, and that's Tart. He comes across the motion, and he just reads us out the entire way. Good anticipation by Tart. And Gurley's got no chance with an unblocked defender in the backfield.
There's a 33-yard field goal try by Greg Zuerlein. Glad he's back. He's kicked one from 35, from 37, this from 33. And he gives them a 25-7 lead with about 8 to play in the third. Rams are on the move, looking at 7-0. They'll be that for the first time since '85 if they win.
Let's take a look at the quarterback comparison. You look at Goff, he's been pretty efficient, taking care of the football, and that's been the biggest issue with Beathard, not just the interception, but the fumble in the first quarter. And the other thing is they've got to do a better job stretching the field, not only vertically, but horizontally. You look at ball distribution, all the throws have been in the direction of Kittle. He's got 4 catches. Just one catch by Niner receivers.
Touchback on the Zuerlein kickoff, 25-yard line. CBS Super Bowl season continues next Sunday with regional action, including an AFC North showdown between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. But everybody talking about that Denver at Kansas City game at Arrowhead next week. These are the games you'll see. The day will kick off with the NFL Today, 12 Eastern on CBS. And Rich, you and I will be at Arrowhead next Sunday. Chiefs in Denver. Denver played awfully well on Thursday night. Again, they played the Rams well last week.
Yeah, they really did. And I love what Von Miller had to say prior to that.
Mostert on 1st and 10. Hit by Hill. Brought down 29-yard line with a gain of 4.
Love what Von Miller had to say before that Cardinals game. He made a prediction about something they were going to do to the backsides of the Cardinals. And they played so well that Cardinals wind up firing their offensive coordinator, Mike McCoy.
Mike McCoy, right. 2nd down 6 with the benefit of no huddle. Pierre Garçon, 32-year-old wide receiver, hit by Hill once again. Also in there with the stop was Peters, gain of 5. Put him at the 34.
Sometimes going no huddle can help your rhythm a little bit. I think it also makes it more difficult on Wade Phillips.
Did you like it? Did you like playing the no huddle?
I do. I think you can control the tempo. You make it more difficult on the defensive coordinator to dial up all those blitzes and to make substitutions. And the other thing is I want to wear down Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh and Brockers. I want to slow down this pass rush and do that by playing a little bit of up-tempo.
3rd and 1, blocked by Mostert. Buys time for Beathard. It's bobbled and reeled in by it's picked off on the play by John Johnson. He got one in Denver last week. He picks off the quarterback on a deflection right here. 3rd of the season. 4th turnover by San Francisco. John Johnson comes up with a big one right there. The rookie out of Boston College for the LA Rams.
Ruling on the field is an interception.
This is
First down, Los Angeles.
Look, I thought the tight end did a great job.
I did too.
Knocking the ball back so he could make the catch, and instead, John Johnson rips it right out of his arm.
We've seen that 2 times today.
We saw that from Aaron Donald.
Look at it.
And I think he's underneath them, and he's able to scoop it up.
Good call, Rich.
Oh, what a great play by John Johnson. You talk about you working on ball extraction. And the Rams have done a terrific job of that today. They've gotten their hands on a lot of footballs. Sign of a good defense.
4 turnovers by the team that turns it over most in the National Football League, more than any other team, San Francisco.
Well, the 2 things that they've done better today, the issue coming into today's game for the Rams defensively, they give them a lot of big plays. They've kept the lid on the big plays, and they've taken the ball away defensively.
Yeah, the Rams only had one takeaway the last 2 games. Today, they've got 4. They're reviewing this one right here.
And it all goes hand in hand. You get pressure on the quarterback.
An interception is under further review. Timeout.
Well, they've ruled it an interception. There's nothing there that says otherwise because it looks like you ripped it away. Kittle had it. He reeled it in. And the theft. Nice Houdini move right there by John Johnson.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Corona Extra. Find your beach. And by McDonald's new Trick Treat Win Game. No purchase necessary.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands as an interception. Please put 6:59 on the game clock.
NFL rules analyst Gene
6:59.
Steratore joins us. Gene, what'd you think of the call and the play?
I agree. It's a great interception, and really credit to the officials covering this play because they do not rule this defender down by contact at the time of possession of the interception. So even though they're together as they're going to the ground, once he possesses it, he's separated from the receiver. So they also give him that 7 or 8 yard return after, and that's a great job of whistle control by the covering official.
Good analysis by you. Thank you. 1st and 10. Here's a run by Gurley, who swerves into the grasp of a couple, including the defensive back, Jaquiski Tartt. Gain of 7 on the play, and here the 20.
You know, we talk about gap control, right? We talk about edge control. We never talk about whistle control.
Right.
Until we get Gene into the mix.
Gurley's got 61 yards. 2nd down and 3. At 208 on the ground at Denver last week. Nickel, fake, throw. Got it. That is Josh Reynolds to the 2. Brought down by defensive end Greg Maven. 19-yard pickup, 1st and goal Rams.
Wow, what a good looking play. And he's sneaky. He starts out there, he's under control. He acts like he's going to block, and then he takes off.
Gurley takes it in for a 2nd rushing touchdown today. 2 on the ground for Gurley. 1-yard touchdown run. He's got 11 touchdown runs this season. The pick sets it up by rookie John Johnson.
Well, they do a great job jumping the ball before you're even set. In fact, we'd missed the snap because it happened so quickly.
But we didn't miss the call.
Yeah, you're right. You're on top of it, Kevin. And they're a scoring machine under Sean McVay. The Rams have won games by an average margin of 13 points a game so far this season.
Zerline. 32-7, the undefeated Rams. Looking to have their best start since 1985. If they go to 7-0, the 6th youngest team in pro football has taken advantage of 4 turnovers by San Francisco. Saturday, it's the best game from the best conference when Florida takes on Georgia in Jacksonville. Then in primetime from San Diego, 4th-ranked Notre Dame will take on Navy for the 92nd consecutive season. The college football pregame show has you covered beginning at 2:30 Eastern on CBS. This season, the college football playoff national championship game will be held right here in Santa Clara. And there is a look at some of the things that Todd Gurley has done and did. I love the comment by the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, what he had to say about this terrific running back. He said he's the best player I had ever seen on tape leaving college.
Yeah, he looked different to him, right?
Yes.
It's so fast and strong and such a natural, smooth runner. What did he say? He called him a genetic freak. I mean, he hits everything at full speed. I think similar to Adrian Peterson, but maybe just not as violent. But I mean, we had a great visit with him last night. Loves football. I think he's become a more complete player. He's a 3-down back. He stays on the field a ton. And he's got it all. He's got a great running back coach, too. He's talked a lot about Skip Pete last night. And Skip's coached a lot of great players. He was with me in Oakland.
It's down in 10. Mostert Continues his big chunk runs, brought down by LaMarcus Joyner in the secondary. 16-yard run to the 41-yard line.
Good looking run.
4 carries and 46 yards.
Tackle Staley come off. He gets a great block.
Use check.
Second level.
The first one's in. Mostert again. Another big chunk run. On midfield. Looked like Brockers tripped him up, but he kept his balance enough to pick up 9. Staggering his way up to midfield. Mostert.
Well, the 49ers coming into today's game had 7 runs of 20 yards or more, which were tied for second most. They're ripping off a bunch of big ones now against the Rams.
Second down and 1. Mostert puts his head down, tries to sledgehammer his way for the first. Very close to that first down. Donald is down there among a couple others for that Ram D to bring him in.
I love what Wade Phillips says to the players. He's got a saying. It says, hey, look, mistakes are mine on game days. He doesn't want players worried about making a mistake. He just wants them to cut it loose and play fast and be aggressive.
First down and 10, Beathard. Kittle chased by Littleton, brought down with a catch and run near the 27-yard line. 22-yard pickup, another San Francisco first down.
You look at the career of Wade Phillips, it's incredible, right? 49th year of coaching, 41st year in the National Football League. He's been a part of 21 different top 10 defenses during his career. He was out of football 2014. How does that happen?
First and 10, Beathard for the tight end, Selleck. And he was being tagged there by Littleton in the secondary. They had John Johnson, incomplete, second down and 10.
Boy, he had the look they wanted and everything. He just misses them. You see the tight end going right down the middle of the field. And you look at this wide open secondary. You just got to be able to hit him. And that's you go back and you watch film on Monday, Kevin. There's always 4 or 5 you like to have back. And I'm certain that's one that C.J. Beathard would love to have back.
4 turnovers today. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Second down and 10. Goodwin's been quiet. He's so prominent in Green Bay.
He got a catch.
Mostert inside the 25. Picks up a couple. Hit by Nickel Roby-Coleman on a gain of 4. Let's take you to our CBS studios in New York and JB.
Drew Brees helped in a couple ways on this.
Yeah, he did. 4th down and 1. He had a quarterback sneak to keep the drive alive. And then he threw a 5-yard touchdown pass to Michael Thomas. New Orleans offense getting hot.
Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, Steve Tasker.
Well, last time the Ravens allowed a second-half touchdown, Week 17 last season against the Bengals. It's been a while. 3rd down and 6. Here they come. Down he goes. At the very end was Sue, 5th sack by this L.A. Rams defense today. Losing 9 back to the 34. Phillips is dialing up everything right.
And I love when they put Sue as a defensive end. You just look at that. He's working against the first-round pick, McGinsley, and he forces the quarterback to step up inside. And that's a handful for anybody. You got to get your pad level low because he'll walk you right back into the quarterback.
Going to go with a field goal here by Robbie Gould. 51-yard try. Gould led the NFL with 59 made field goals last year. He's going to drill that baby home, making it 32-10. 51-yarder by Robbie Gould. His long this year came at Green Bay, 46 yards.
Well, he's 37 of his last 38, and he's made 7 straight from 50-plus. He's one of the best in the business.
51-yard field goal. Rich, there was some thought coming into this game that the Rams may not be up as tuned, as focused for this one. Maybe a trap game. They've got Green Bay and Los Angeles at the Coliseum next week. Then they're at New Orleans. Then they play Seattle. They have Kansas City and in Mexico City. They've come off of 2 rugged games on the road at Seattle and Denver. And then came this 1-5 San Francisco team. And while they have not taken full advantage of all the turnovers, they've scored on them all, and they've got a commanding lead.
Yeah, this is, look, Doing a lot of things right, Kevin. We talked about complementary football. I mean, the defense is creating turnovers and getting sacks. You get a big play in the kicking game. You get a blocked punt, led to a safety. And, you know, you look at what Gurley's done, and quarterback's taking care of the football. The offensive line has played well. I mean, it's how you go on the road in the division and get a win by doing the little things right.
All right, that is out of the end zone touchback. Super Bowl 50 here at Levi Stadium saw a celebration of all the previous Super Bowl MVP award winners before the game between the Broncos and Panthers. Von Miller was huge in this one, named the MVP thanks to 2 forced fumbles, one of which right here resulted in a Denver touchdown. Broncos won that 24-10, last game of Peyton Manning's career. This season, CBS is the home of Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta.
The Rams could be one of those teams we see in the Super Bowl. It's the first time since 2001 they've started the season 6-0.
Malcolm Brown is the running back. First and 10. Goff underneath, and he's got his man. That's Woods. Hit on the play by Williams. Pickup of 11. First down, 36-yard line.
They're going to jump the ball. This is one of their tempo plays. What happens is they get up the line of scrimmage. Goff takes a look at it, but more importantly, Sean McVay takes a look at it. And he previews the front and the secondary, and they get him the best play possible.
First and 10 after the catch by Cooks. Higbee, the block, the tight end. That's low and reeled in by Cooks again. Right at the feet of Tart. 23-yard pickup also in there with Witherspoon. Another first down, 41-yard line.
They get in these tight alignments. They run so many deep crossing routes. And I love how the receivers are patient. Brandon Cooks is going to push up the field and force Witherspoon to hang with them. And then right at the last moment, he cuts it, flattens it out at a friendly angle and makes that an easier throw for Jared Goff. First and 10, big play action team, and they've been really effective with it, especially when you consider they've got Todd Gurley back there in the running game.
Good and low, friendly angle. Here comes Brown, first and 10, big hole, and he sledgehammers his way down to the 31, close to a first down. Big chunks of yards. Brown is a nice change of pace guy to Gurley.
We talked to Sean McVay last night. He said, you know, we're familiar with this defense. That, you know, they play a lot of 3 deep and 4 underneath, so it's something that they saw week 3 against the Chargers. Gus Bradley obviously was in Seattle last couple weeks ago, week 5 against Seattle. So they run concepts that they like versus these coverages.
Niners have basically been in the nickel all day. First and 10. Blocked by Whitworth. Blocked by Woods. And a beat on him there, the rookie linebacker Warner, who, by the way, is in the top 10 tacklers. Fred Warner is for San Francisco in the NFL. He's had a nice beginning to his rookie season.
The play action game is so effective when you're able to run the ball as well as the Rams. You know, they're averaging over 154 yards a game on the ground. That's the most in football. And so you've got to be able to bring extra defenders up around the line of scrimmage. And when you do that, you open yourself up to the possibility of them hitting you over the top with some play action shots.
Second down and 10. It's getting crowded. Armstead got him. Back at the 41, 42-yard line. Second sack right there.
Well,
loss of 9.
Yeah, they bring K'Wan Williams. You're going to see him come off the edge, and so it's a 5-man rush. The back does a good job picking up the blitz, but just hold it that long and something's going to happen. A good look at Armstead, who gets the sack.
3rd and 19 coming up. Winding down the third quarter to the sideline. Goff is gone. Rams have scored 24 points off of 4 San Francisco turnovers. And Todd Gurley, the reigning offensive player of the year, has put his fingerprints on this one with 2 touchdown runs today for the undefeated Los Angeles Rams. Some of the stories of this one right here. Gurley, the turnovers. Goff, very accurate day, 3rd and 19. Longest 3rd down situation they've faced today. It's outside the Woods, getting the block, gets one, gets two. Now the quarterback's going to make a block, and there goes Robert Woods, a former Buffalo Bill, to the 38. Chasing him well. This kid is one to watch. 48, Fred Warner. Of that defense, a star in the making here for San Francisco. 4th down.
Well, this could have gotten ugly. I mean, for a second there, I thought he had a chance to come out the back door, but this is good pursuit by the Niners. See, everyone just continues, and look at Warner.
Boy, I like him.
Good job by Goff. Look at him trying to get a block. Tried, I said. I didn't say he got a block. He tried.
Hecker. Real punt the ball. 4-time Pro Bowler, Johnny Hecker.
Jumped the
False
gun.
start, number 53. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down. Correction. San Francisco has elected to decline the false start. It's still 4th down.
There's only been one penalty on the LA Rams today, and that first one was on the special teams. That could have been on the special teams.
1-4.
Decide 24 points off of 4 San Francisco turnovers. And that gives you the score you see right there, 32-10. Only undefeated team in the NFL, the 6-0 LA Rams.
No-brainer.
Goodness, it's a nice day on it.
That's amazing. You know, I was just looking at my notes, Cam. That's the 14th special teams penalty of the season, which is tied for most. And they were tied for most last season. Special teams penalties have been a problem, and I'm sure John Fassel, their special teams coordinator, isn't all too happy about it.
Well, that one obviously was planned, right? I mean, they obviously were just sitting there waiting. But what you say is right. I mean,
I don't know that you're planning no penalties, are you?
Well, I know you're not planning penalties, but they're just sitting there enjoying the nice afternoon.
Yeah, I suppose. Up 32-10.
By the way, the Rams have scored over 30 points now in 6 of their last 7 games. So Sean McVay, and by the way, we had a visit with him last night for about 20 minutes.
He's so impressive.
It was one of the most exhilarating conversations we've had talking football.
You know, he reminds me of my old
False start
coach.
is declined. Game clock will start on the snap.
It reminds me of my old coach, Kevin John Gruden. He's now in Oakland.
13:51
I think just his
on the
energy,
clock.
his passion,
13:51.
his professionalism, his attention to detail. I mean, you know, he's such a smart football coach. I think the players respect him. I think he puts his quarterback in position to have a chance to win each week. And that's a sign of not only a great head coach, but a great play caller.
He's a disciple of Gruden and Mike Shanahan, who I know is watching his son today and watching the Niners. Like one of the great friends of the NFL, one of the most exciting and colorful and successful coaches this league is known. And his son is coaching the San Francisco team, beset by injuries, but with a lot of promise. 29-yard punt right there.
Kevin, you mentioned that coaching tree. You think about Mike Shanahan, John Gruden, and the fact that Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay were quality control coaches under John Gruden back in the day in Tampa Bay.
Let's step aside. After the punt, 9-yard line. San Francisco will take over. Mostert in the backfield. 4 in the secondary for the Rams. Beckett hit and brought down. Sacked right there. Brockers was one of them. And then Donald was the other. Donald has been incredible. 6 sacks today by the Ram defense.
Well, here he is right here. I mean, just what a handful. So sudden off the ball and up the field. He's got excellent lateral quickness and strength to take on double teams. And they're having a problem with Donald, Brockers, Sue.
4 consecutive games now, Rich. 4 straight that Donald has had a sack. So 3 today. Second down, 15. Mostert wrapped up and thrown out of bounds. Samson Ebukam gets them, the second-year player out of Eastern Washington. They lose 2 right there. Now they're back inside their 3.
A good look at this High throw, and look at the pursuit angles. There's all those yellow jerseys over there. Kevin, you were talking a moment ago about ball distribution. And, you know, Marquise Goodwin, who had such a big night on Monday night, he had a career-high 126 receiving yards, 2 first-quarter touchdowns.
Non-factor.
Non-factor. He doesn't have a catch. He doesn't even have a target.
And he brings that speed. He was an Olympic long jumper, NCAA outdoor champion long jumper.
He helps create space for the running game. And that, you know, sometimes we talk about in critical situations, you can't think about plays, you got to think about players. And, you know, that's, I'm sure they'll be kicking themselves. I mean, if Garcon hasn't been involved, Marquise Goodwin hasn't been involved, and that's a big issue.
6 in the secondary. Oh, and they dropped.
Good thing he dropped it.
Well, was it a catch? Because if it was a catch and a fumble, incomplete.
Yeah, it hit the ground.
Incomplete. On the field with a forward pass and incomplete. 4th down.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's watch this again, because this really, as the catch was made by Taylor, we thought, but they call it incomplete. Didn't make a move. It really kind of hit his hands and ricocheted away.
Yeah, look how quickly.
Yep. Big hit there by Roby.
Roby Coleman comes in there and makes a great play. I think it's more than anything just recognition. Kevin saw that coming a mile away.
Well, they're going to challenge right there. But, Rich, you know, I don't think that was a catch. I think that means we're going to bring in Gene's territory once again. Watch it again. Beathard to Trent Taylor. They rule it incomplete. It's been challenged.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by KFC's Crispy Kernel Sandwich. It's finger-licking good. AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And by the Honda family of SUVs.
It's a real football. Look, even the.
Well, yesterday, members of the 94 49ers Super Bowl team participated in STEAM education workshops with some local 3rd through 6th graders. Students took to a tour of Levi Stadium, helped build shoulder pads with the 49er alumni. They have looked at the play. It was challenged by the coach, Sean McVay of the LA Rams. It was a forward pass. It was not a catch. They ruled that. And so the punt. Usually the punter goes back, what, about 15, 16 yards, and he's short of that by a ton. About 14 yards, 13. Pinion. Joe Naxon. He played at Akron. He played with the Kansas City running back, Kareem Hunt. He's got an open goal. And then he bangs his way to Selleck. Nice return, 36 yards on a 49-yard punt. Joe Naxon.
Kevin, he's got to be the smallest player in the National Football League. He's 5'7", 153 pounds, soaking wet. But look at this suddenness and his quickness and the ability to change direction.
Rich, you know that the Rams have had 5 different players return punts through these first 7 games.
He's not the biggest, but you know, just make sure you hold on to the football. Boy, he's got rare speed and quickness and toughness for a smaller returner.
Gurley is in 1st and 10. Hit and wrapped up at the line by Solomon Thomas. With a gain of 1 down to the 12.
Well, this is where the Rams are the best in all of football. They're the #1 4th-quarter ball control team in the league. They average about a little over 9 minutes a game, and a big reason why is they just keep handing and feeding the ball to number 30. So really good at taking the air out of the ball late in games.
Jared Goff, who is a Bay Area kid. Look out. Here comes Mitchell. There goes Gurley. Into the end zone over the pylon. Touchdown, Los Angeles. 3rd touchdown today. 12-yard touchdown pass. And the unbeaten Rams up again now, 38-10.
Well, this is good looking. You're going to see the action, and then what happens is the back's just going to sit over here and wait for the quarterback to kind of come out to the right, and it's a throwback, and you can see all the white jerseys, and look at that design. I mean, it's just great creativity and design by Sean McVay. We said plays that look the same that are different. They run that stretch play, they run the stretch play, and then off the stretch play comes the throwback screen. You see Sullivan, you see Saffold out in front of that screen. This is a great screen team because they have an athletic offensive line that can get out and run. You've got a quarterback and a back that is very patient. They draw the rush, and then they throw that screen out the back door.
We have not seen who the player is down. If my math is correct, Todd Gurley has just tied an NFL record through 7 games with 14 total touchdowns, and he ties Priest Holmes of the Kansas City Chiefs in 02 and 04. Through 7 games, Holmes had 14 touchdowns, and coming in with 11 total today, and now 3 on top of that. Todd Gurley has tied an NFL record through 7 games, and we've still got 11 and a half minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Player down, as you can see, is Foster, who is a first-round pick and 2 years out of Alabama. Suspended the first 2 games of the season, activated back in the middle of September. And they watch him walk off, thankfully, under his own power.
Can you talk about turnovers, starting field position? The Rams today on a short field, 4 possessions, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Very opportunistic group when you give them short fields.
So the quarterback, Goff, has thrown touchdown passes of 19 and 12. Gurley has had touchdown runs of 7 and 1. And Gurley just had a touchdown reception at 12. Zuerlein will try the extra point, and it is 39 to 10. Rams are unbeaten on the road in the division under Sean McVay. They're continuing to get incredible plays like this from running back Todd Gurley. Let me put a quick addendum on what I said. In the Super Bowl era, Gurley and Holmes have had the most through 7 games all time in pro football. Jim Brown, but so much now is dedicated to in the Super Bowl era, which is 1970.
Well, the minute the minute you said if my math's correct, I started to worry.
That's right. I wasn't even born in 50.
I realized that you got into broadcasting because you were terrible at math.
That's right. That is true. Richie James will bring it out here for San Francisco. And then he was brought down on the play by Dominique Hatfield. 21-yard return. Some of the early headlines in the first window of the NFL. And Jacksonville losing again, and a 4-3 Texan team coming out of Florida after their tough start.
Blake Bortles got benched.
Yes, he did.
That tells you how bad things are in Jacksonville. Yeah. Blake Bortles gets benched.
How about Carolina winning again in an NFC East city? The Bears really gave the Patriots a scare, coming back late but could not get past them. New England wins again. Morris in the backfield. Patrick first and 10. There's Goodwin, first catch today. Yep. Littleton was there. Hager was there. Gain of 7. Rich near the 30-yard line.
Well, you look at the 49ers, Kevin, they got a lot of work to do, no question about it, really on both sides of the football. But more importantly, they've got to get the turnover, the ball security issues rectified.
Down in 3, here's Alfred Morris. And he was brought down by Sam Shields. And that is a gain of 5 and a first down for San Francisco as we take you back to our CBS studios in James Brown.
In Baltimore, a high and a low.
Wow, really? Here we are late in the game. Under 30 seconds. Flacco to Brown, 14-yard touchdown. Justin Tucker kicking the extra point. 221 in a row. He misses. New Orleans 24, Baltimore 23. Back to Kevin, Rich, and Steve.
I think that Justin Tucker, of course, you know what my math is like. I think he was the only one since they've moved the extra point back that had not missed. He had never missed an extra point since they moved it back.
That is correct. And Kevin, he never misses field goals from inside of 40.
No.
Let alone an extra point.
Oh, my goodness.
What a shocker. After we saw the Ravens last week sack Marcus Mariota 11 times.
Beathard had a drop ball across the middle on a shallow cross. Now second down and 10. 2 tight ends. Alfred Morris. Stick right there initially by Bryce Hager. 4 years out of Baylor. Gain of 5 by Morris up near the 39-yard line. Kyle Shanahan who crossed paths with Sean McVay as young coaches. And they had some terrific mentors, as we talked about a little bit earlier. He had his dad and Gruden and others along the way. Sean McVay. He said that John Gruden used to show him tapes of Rich Gannon and how quarterbacks should be played. I thought that was very flattering last
Showed
night.
him what not to do. You're coaching quarterbacks.
Come on. They're down in 4. Beathard with the right track. Donald, number 4. 4th sack today by that man, Aaron Donald. Reigning Defensive Player of the Year. 7th sack authored by that Ram defense. And the Niners have got a punt again.
Well, here he is coming right in the middle of your screen. And this guy is a beast. I mean, he takes the center, Richburg, right back into the lap of the quarterback, Kevin. I don't want to say he's unblockable, but man,
he's almost unblockable.
He is a handful, and he is an all-day sucker. He doesn't take plays off.
Joe Nansen is back. Penny will punt it. Rich and I were in Nashville last week, and we saw Baltimore sack Mariota 11 times. Today we've seen Beathard sack 7. Let's see my math. That's 18 sacks we've seen by 2 defenses tonight on 60 Minutes. Have you or a family member contributed to solving a crime without even knowing it? Was hunting with Golden Eagles only on 60 Minutes.
And Kevin, not all of them are on the offensive line, and even some of these sacks today. At times you see Beathard holding the football, a little indecisive. On 3rd down, I think the game speeds up for him, and it becomes a little bit too quick. And Aaron Donald, I mean, you know, the problem is you double Aaron Donald, then you got to deal with Sue and Rockers. This is a really good defense that Wade Phillips has to work with.
Sean Mannion's the new quarterback, and Malcolm Brown will get the 1st and 10 handoff. And he's up to about the 19-yard line. Sean Mannion, who is a 4th-year player out of Oregon State, 3rd-year pick. He is the new quarterback in Goff today. He closed this one up with 18 of 24 through the air, 202, 2 touchdowns and no picks. And he is playing at a very, very high level. Jared Goff. Rich, in the last 12 road starts for Goff, he has thrown 23 touchdowns and 5 picks.
He's been flawless.
Yes.
He takes good care of the ball. He understands the game. He understands why they're calling plays in certain situations and how to attack a defense.
With a 2nd down and 6 handoff here, Brown. He trudges up the middle and up to about the 27-yard line. Hit by a couple on that run with the tackle made by Malcolm Smith, the former Seahawk. Gain of 8 on the play to the 26.
The best part of this, you know, you get your starters off the field, you get a chance to get some of the backups in there and get some valuable reps. Your backup quarterback some work, and you look forward to the Green Bay Packers next week.
Won't that be fun?
In Los Angeles.
Yep. Packers have a bye this week. They played Monday.
Drive,
they beat
4 seconds.
San Francisco by 3 on a game-winning walk-off field goal by Mason Crosby. 1st down and 10. Mannion, Brown, blocked there by Johnny Munt, who is a tight end out near the 30 and pick up a 4.
Well, a couple touchdowns for Todd Gurley today, and you know, I just love the way he runs. It's violent. He heads downhill in a hurry, and you know, you just look at some of these holes and the decisiveness with which he runs. He's got great vision, and he always seems to keep his feet running and moving at contact.
Well, the schedule's going to be interesting next couple weeks. We said Green Bay, Rich did at the Coliseum. Then they go to New Orleans. Then they've got Seattle. Then they've got Kansas City and Mexico City. 2nd down and 6.
We have a 3 of the next 4 at home.
Yes. Here by Brown.
Let's talk a little bit about this 49ers defense, Kevin. The numbers haven't been good. They're just 29th in scoring defense, giving up almost 30 points a game. And, you know, they need more. You know, Solomon Thomas, 3rd overall pick in 2017. Armstead, he was a 17th overall pick in 2015. And they've got 3 first-round draft picks along their defensive line. And the production simply hasn't been there. I think the most productive guy's been Buckner, but the rest of them, they don't have a premier pass rusher. And that makes things difficult. And when you look at the injuries that they have at the cornerback position, I mean, they have a tough time if they can't get more pressure on the quarterback.
Brown didn't get the first down on that 3rd and 1. Smith was there along with Ronald Blair. Blair played well up in Green Bay Monday, and no gain on the play, and the punting unit will take the field for the LA Rams. They're going to go to 7-0. First time they have been 7-0 since 1985. They also were 7-0, Rich, in 78 and 69. Of course, these are the defending NFC West champions. They, in his first year, had 8 Pro Bowl players, and they won the division, then lost in the early round to Atlanta at the Coliseum. Hecker, it's blocked, deflected, and goes to the 37. So that is a 2-yard punt, as it was deflected on the drive, and it looks like Nzeocha was the one to come through. Mark Nzeocha came through and got it for San Francisco. And we're going back here to Eric Dickerson. This was 1985 at Arrowhead Stadium. In that game, if I'm not mistaken, I think I've said it more than once today, Todd Blackledge of the Chiefs threw 6 interceptions. And that night, the Royals had a World Series game across the parking lot against the St. Louis Cardinals. First and 10. Alfred Morris. Hager brings him down. Gain of 5 down to the 32. The reason why I know that was I was broadcasting the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was 24. Rich Gannon was a quarterback at Delaware, and a good-looking guy at that. And then there's Steve Tasker. And Steve was Jerry Glanville, your coach down in Houston. Then they took that. Here's a second. 5 to get to Steve in a second. And Beathard goes long and low and deep and caught by Goodwin. At about the 15, gain of 17. Steve, was Jerry Glanville your coach in Houston?
Yes, he was. He was a defensive coordinator my rookie year. Then he was the head coach after that. He got promoted. And, yeah, in fact, there's a lot of coaches that hang around for a long time. Wade Phillips, Jerry Glanville is now coaching in Canada. He's coaching my son.
How about that? How about that?
It's a small world.
It is. Your son's doing a good job up there, too. Here's a 1st and 10 after that 17-yard completion by Beathard. And they take it on the sideline. Coverage over there by Hatfield as they were looking for Goodwin. Wade Phillips has done a terrific job. 2nd season with the Rams, hasn't he, Steve?
Yeah, he has. He's been around a long time. 41 years in the NFL, 49 years in coaching. He was coaching in the NFL before either Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan were born. And you look at this Ram defense, and Rich, you've seen it. A good defense finishes, and this Ram defense has no let-up in it with this huge lead.
2nd and 10. Always trying to cut, and then here comes Brockers to bring him down eventually, and losing 3 back to the 19.
And, you know, the one thing you know about Wade Phillips, he's not going to change. He's been at this a very long time, as Steve said, and he's going to have good pass rushers and cover corners and play a lot of man-to-man coverage. And there's not a ton of volume, really, when you break it down. He's all about less is more. He wants players to play fast. I think he's a wonderful teacher. He's an excellent communicator. He's got a great temperament for this game. Doesn't get too high or too low. And the best thing about Wade Phillips, he accepts responsibility when things don't go well. He never puts it back on the players.
Down 13, Beathard swings one incomplete. That time looking for Kendrick Bourne, who has not been thrown to today. The coverage in the secondary by Blake Countess. Now it'll be 4th down. Wade Phillips, though, did say this about Sean McVay, who's only 32, as we've talked about a couple times, but he said the one thing that really I noticed about him, Rich, his communication. I mean, everybody knows where they stand. His communication is impeccable.
Yeah, he's consistent with his message. And, you know, I think that even Sean McVay said, I can learn something from Wade Phillips because of his temperament. Sometimes I get really emotional. Wade is pretty steady. I mean, he's just got that Texas swagger about him. And he just, you know, it's never too big. And I think the players really respect that about Wade Phillips.
Juszczyk in the backfield, 4th and 13. Uh-oh, look out. Here comes Sue. And a robbery to the end zone, incomplete, looking for Trent Taylor, and on downs it'll go to the LA Rams. But the day is pretty simple. Rams defense took it away 4 times. They sacked the San Francisco quarterback Beathard 7 times, both season highs. A tough day in San Francisco, this being Santa Clara, where The Niners have relocated, and they're just dealing, Rich, with a ton of injuries. Their starting quarterback gone, Garoppolo. Their starting running back, Jerick McKinnon, gone before the season even began. And that's a tough way to start things out.
But remember now, they started 0-9 last year in Kyle Shanahan's first year, and they won 6 of their last 7 games. And look, losing the quarterback, Kevin, is huge. But I do believe this 49er team will get things turned around and finish the second half of the season strong. They just, when I was out of practice on Friday, you just don't get the sense that this is a one-win team. They're extremely confident. They're upbeat. They believe they can get this thing turned around and finish strong what they did a year ago. And this is a team that has to get healthy. You look at Richard Sherman there over his right shoulder. Needs some. I think the most important thing is the turnovers. We keep talking about that. They had just 3 takeaways on defense, which is the fewest in football. And offensively, they're up near the top of the league in giveaways. And that's the biggest issue the 49ers are having right now.
Mannion to Malcolm Brown with a block up there by the rookie out of TCU, Joseph Noteboom, gain of 4. And he is at the 29-yard line. So the Rams are going to go to 5-0 on the road under McVay in the division. Overall, they're going to go to 7-2 in the division under McVay. And a road record overall, Rich, which is really incredible under McVay over the last 2 years, 11-1. 11-1 overall road record for McVay since he took over.
They travel well, and he's such an impressive coach, Kevin. I think he's a great play caller. You look at how this team is built. They have the reigning offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year, and the coach of the year.
Hasn't been done very often. Big day for the defense. Gurley, 3 touchdowns. 2-minute warning on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Enjoyed by giant blue fictional knights everywhere. And by Red Dead Redemption 2. Out October 26 for PS4. Rated mature.
So as you know, Rich was the former quarterback of the Raiders, and when he was here, that's where he lived. And you said, "Hey, let's go to my house."
Spent some time at Alcatraz.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, on the Rock. Speaking of the Rock, you look at this Rams offense, Kevin. Todd Gurley is incredible. We talked about the reigning offensive player of the year. The reigning defensive player of the year has 4 sacks. Aaron Donald. No one's been able to block him, and of course the coach of the year has been pretty good as well. Sean McVay.
They're down 1. Gain of 2. Sean Mannion. There's Aaron Donald. He has been an interesting offseason story heading into training camp because he's holding out. He got the big contract. But, Rich, the Rams have been so good because their quarterback isn't the top tier. He will be someday in terms of pay, but while
you're not paying him $25 million a year, so that allows you to
spend it on guys like Cooks and Gurley and Donald.
Yeah, and look, you look at how productive he is, Kevin. He's so unusual. And talking to defensive coordinator Wade Phillips last night, he compared him to Reggie White. He said he's got a little bit of a different body type, but the speed, the power, and the quickness off the edge, and the ability to push people back, to be able to swim and get around defenders and double teams. I think he single-handedly changes the protection scheme in terms of what you're trying to do offensively. When you put your package together and you're Kyle Shanahan, you got to spend time figuring out how to block 99. And then once you figure that out, well, how are we going to address for number 93 and Ndamukong Suh? And then you haven't even gotten to the 2nd or the 3rd level yet. That's a real problem for offenses as they approach this Rams defense.
Victory formation here, 2nd down 11. Donald had 4 sacks, 7 for the defense. Gurley had 3 touchdowns. Rams scored 24 points off of 4 San Francisco turnovers. Goff, 202 yards and 2 touchdown passes. That's your final 7-0 Rams. Best start since '85. For Rich Gannon and Steve Tasker, Kevin Harlan saying so long from Santa Clara. Let's now take you live to CBS in New York. And here's the award-winning James Brown.